right. It's been a while since I've streamed, I'm realizing, as I get set up here today, and I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I'll just stream my work this afternoon. And it's been a little while, so I'm a little rusty. So, yeah, we've got some stuff to work on today. I've got a fairly limited time window, as is my usual situation. You know, you make the most of the time you got. So, I've got a time window here that I can get some work done, and then going to a wedding. So, let's see. What are we going to start with today? Got some stuff related to... Most of it centers around an ambulance. So, let's see. That's GTA. Alright. Just making some notes here to keep myself on track. There's no way I'm going to get all this done today. But let's dive into it. So I've got a ambulance. And that is under custom props. We're in Character Creator 4 right now, which is, if you're not familiar with it, it's also the tool that you can kind of prep props and such for use in iClone. So we're going to open up this existing model. I don't remember where I got this, but I did not make this. This is made by somebody else. Let's turn on some ambient lighting here. If I can find it. There we go. Yeah. So it's an ambulance. And there's a couple things that I need to do to this ambulance. I'm going to turn off my webcam because when I'm messing around with models in Character Creator 4 and in iClone, the camera just stutters. So I'm gonna turn off the camera for just a little while here. But I assume you can still hear me. Okay, so the first thing is that this came with a license plate on it that it's probably like a screen name of the person who designed it, or maybe a company name or something like that. But I just want to change that because it is going to be in license plate is going to be in full view, especially the one on the front. And then the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to try and create a version of this ambulance that is basically cut away from behind the seats all the way back, so that I can have a camera back there and have an angle going out the front of the ambulance. Right now, to place the camera where I need it to be, it would be inside the cab, or inside the back of the truck here, and it gets blocked. Okay? And we should be able to do all of that without going into any other modeling software of any kind. We can do all that within Character Creator 4 here. So I've got the ambulance selected. And by the way, I can't watch the status of the stream at the same time that I'm watching what I'm doing here. But I do have the chat open. So if you drop by and you want to say hello, just drop a chat there, and I will be checking it from time to time to say hello. And if you want to talk about something, you know, mention it, we'll talk. I can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time, I think. So license plates is a separate mesh here. And it looks like, okay, so there's the base texture for it. We'll need to alter that. And I think the bump map also, the normal map, reinforces those same letters. So I'm not going to try and redo the normal map, but I am going to, remove the raised lettering effect for the old letters, and we'll just have it be just in the texture here. I don't think there's anything in the roughness. No, there's not. Okay, so we've got that selected. So we're gonna launch that in our texture editor, which I still have not fully committed to the switch over to GIMP. I'm still using PageShop Pro, and I feel kind of silly about it. But I'm in the process of moving over to GIMP, but when I'm in a rush and I kind of need to get stuff done expediently, I tend to fall back on the one that I've got 20 years of experience using. So forgive me for that. Okay, so we're going to do this in the safe way, and that is we're going to add layers here. It just makes it easier to undo anything that we do here. So I'm going to just select this color, and then we're going to get the paintbrush, and let's just wipe over the old letters. We're doing this on our new layer. Let's see. Okay, so now we can actually adjust the opacity here to kind of see for centering purposes and stuff, and also to get an idea of the font. So I think I'm just gonna, this is the ambulance of Lance the Freelance. Ambulance driver. And what did they do? They did black letters, so we'll do black as well. And I think we're just gonna put Lance. I think that works fine. So we want no stroke, just letter. And I don't know the font yet, but let's just try something out here for now. We'll get the letters in place, and then we can play around with which font we want to use. And they used kind of a rounded type of lettering there. I don't know what that font would be. It's definitely sans serif. So it doesn't have the little, pointy ornamentations on the letters. It's not squared off like this. It's more rounded. There's an Arial rounded font, I think. Is that all it is? Arial rounded. That's pretty close, and that may be close enough. That might work. Maybe if we squish the letters. The numbers are a little unusual, but we're not putting any numbers in anyway, so that doesn't matter. Okay. So, yeah, let's try working with this and see what we can do. So if we want it to take up the same amount of space, we can do like so. Yeah, that's pretty close. Why don't we stretch it upward and stretch it downward and stretch it this way. Yeah, I think that'll work. If we bring the opacity back up here. Yeah, why not? Why not? Okay, so we've got that. Let's duplicate it. And let's move this one down to here. This doesn't have to be like mathematically precise because, it's the front and back license plate. They're never going to be seen at the same time, but we want it to be pretty close as far as alignment goes. That's pretty close. Okay. So let's bring this opacity back up. There we go. That's our license plate. So what we're going to do is we're going to say save as, and let's make sure it's going to the Character Creator 4 temp folder. It is. So we're going to say save. Yes. Yes. Now I'm not going to close the program here because I've still got my layers here. If for some reason it doesn't look right inside Character Creator 4, which there it is. Yep, the front and the back are done. But if you'll notice, if we zoom way in here, you'll still see the raised lettering. See that for the Rescue 3D? So that's our normal map. That's an easy fix. We just need to launch that in our editor. And we're going to select this color. And where's our paintbrush? And we're just going to get rid of the raised lettering effect altogether. Recreating that for our existing lettering is a little bit more involved process. Like normal map is not something that's very easy. You know, it's not easy to just draw it on there. So rather than mess with that at all, we really don't need it because it's a pretty quick shot going on. So let's do save as. We'll make sure it's saving to the temp folder. It is. The reason that's important is depending on your image editing software, sometimes when you hit save, at least with PaintShop Pro, this is the case. It doesn't always save to where it was loaded from, which is really silly and stupid. But the end result is you edit the texture, and then you go back over into Character Creator, and it's not updated. And so if you've done any kind of complex changes, then you lose them, and you have to go do them again. So that's why I've kind of been being a little extra cautious with keeping these edited versions open until I'm sure that the textures are committed properly, which they are. Okay. So now we've got the license plate taken care of. And actually, what we're going to do here is we're going to save a version of the vehicle, the only version of the vehicle we have. Because I know that I'll never want to use it with Rescue 3D as the license plate. So we're going to just save that right over the top of the old object. So I've got it selected here. And if I say overwrite, the overwritten file views for maximum compatibility. Okay. We don't need to auto backup in this case. There's been some changes to Character Creator versions since the time that this model was imported, and it was just notifying me of that. All right, so now the more challenging aspect is we need to edit the mesh of this so that we've got a Movie Magic part here. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and save a separate copy of this ambulance. So in case we accidentally save, we don't overwrite, you know, the good one. So we're going to unselect there and we're going to say save. We're going to call this the ambulance cutaway cab. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into Edit Mesh. And let's see what we can get away with element here. So if I select Okay, this is odd. Why is it behaving like this? Usually when you go into Edit Mesh, it lets you select faces or vertices, but it's not showing that properly. Why is that? Let's look in the scene here and make sure I've got... Okay, so there are some sub-meshes here, but that shouldn't matter. Maybe I have to go into main body and edit mesh? Okay. Okay. So there's a hierarchy here. Under the ambulance, ambulance is kind of like a collection of meshes. I didn't notice that when I looked at it originally. It's like a master mesh or a collection of them. And I was trying to do edit mesh on that level, and it can't do it because there's multiple components. So, we've got wheels, front right and front left. It's nice that those are separate because that means that we could animate the wheels if we wanted to. And we've got wheel rear and wheel rear, and we've got license plates. Okay, so the main body is really what our concern is. So if we go to edit mesh, there we go. Now let's see if it'll let us select anything by element here. Yeah, look at that. We can select the whole back there, and we say hide. Okay. That's pretty cool. So let's continue to try and select things in that way. And this is non-destructive, by the way. There we go. So we're just selecting elements of the mesh and hiding them from view, making them non-visible. And this will be a little tricky with some of these pieces because they're within. But let's take care of all the exterior stuff for now. The stuff we know we want to get rid of. Hide. And hide. Yeah, that's the outside thing again. Can we shift select multiple things? Yes, we can. All right, and over to this side. Got this and this, and we're hiding it. We've got this, 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 boom, 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 boom. Nope. And that's fine. We hide them. What are we left with here? Okay, so there's some interior stuff. So I think we'll probably have to dig down inside. We'll have to like move our camera inside to get at these pieces. So if we get down in the interior here, can we start selecting some more pieces? Yes. Let's get rid of the bed and this thing and whatever this thing is. And that. And what is this? That. Okay, a little progress there. I don't think the light is important to get rid of, but it also isn't important to keep. But how do we get at that? We might have to do some, yeah, what am I thinking here? If we come at this from a side angle, yeah, and we tell it to not ignore back faces, then we should be able to do this kind of action. And then just hide it all at once. There we go. The wheels and the license plate I'm not going to worry about right now because we can just more easily just turn those off. Hide it. Okay. All right. So this is tricky. I think what I want to try and do is come into the cab from the front. Because if ignore back faces is off, I don't want to accidentally select the windshield. I think I do want the windshield to still be there. It's really hard to tell where I am, but I think it's this. Now what does that select? That selected too much, didn't it? All right, let's do this. We're going to try and select... We're going to tell it to ignore back faces. Yeah, wow, it's just too much. Just select this. That's going to have selected the windshield, but we can always select the windshield and bring it back. So let's try hiding that. Oh yeah, see, the whole cab goes. We don't want that. Tricky, tricky. Okay, so another thing we could do if we can't figure out how to hide those actual meshes is we might be able to figure out how to like kind of punch a hole in this, or we could see if we can, yeah, why don't we see if we can select faces here. Is there a way to get it that way? Like here? So if we go to face, boy, it's a tight little gap there, isn't it? So let's tell it to ignore back faces, and we just need enough of a hole for the camera here, really. Is what it means. It's going to be a really weird looking hole, but the cool thing is that the hole is not actually going to ever be visible. So if we hide those, what did we just do there? Okay, that's an exterior, but there's an interior as well. Tricky, tricky, tricky. Let's get inside here. Select these. Hide. Okay, that's the beginning of what we want. So, go here and hide it. And then we go here and hide it. Yeah. It's pretty close. I think I'd like to get these lower ones as well. What if we hide the... Oh, those are already invisible. Okay. That's pretty good. Can we get this guy? And maybe the guy right next to him? Okay. That's pretty good. That may be all we need. Let's get out of edit mesh mode and see if we've got enough of a hole for our camera. Hey, good afternoon. KJ Zana? Thanks for joining. We're just doing a little work here in Character Creator. I want to get a shot from behind the passengers of this ambulance. So we are hiding a bunch of meshes to make, you know, like in the movies, they would cut the car in half, you know, and do all kinds of things to mangle it. We're essentially doing the same thing here. I want to see if what I want to get is a shot of the person sitting in this seat, their legs up on the dash as it's driving. Yeah, John Candy was a famously kind and nice man. I think the most moving tribute to that I've ever heard was from Steve Martin. He started to get teary when talking about it, when they were making, what was it, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles? Yeah, he was a really nice guy. All right, so now if we hide the rear wheels, and we don't want to hide both license plates, so let's do some edit mesh here on the license plate. And element, and we're just going to select that and hide it. And now we've got a clear cab. I kind of feel like this seat is going to get in the way. We don't really have a whole lot of depth to work with here. And we just want to see like the feet up on the dash. So my gut is we need to hide this seat as well, if we can get to it. So we're going to go to element, going to get inside the windshield here and select this seat and the headrest. And let's just hide them. And let's see what we're looking at now. Yep, that's what we needed. All right, it looks scrappy from back here because we've just selected individual triangles, but that's going to give us the shot that we need, which is feet up on the dash over the hood. The ideal shot would be one where we catch that rearview mirror, but I don't think it's going to be possible to fit all that on screen. So that's fine. We don't have any footage to put in the mirror anyway. We've only got forward-facing footage. So I think that works. That should work for our cutaway. As far as lights and stuff, we'll worry about lighting once it's actually in iClone. Okay, so if we take the ambulance, go back to the content page, we've got the cutaway cab here. We're just going to overwrite that and say okay. All right. Well, that went a little easier than I thought it would. So, let's review the footage that we've got that's going to be out the front window of that. Should we go ahead and take care of these ambulance scenes? I feel like we should. So if we go in here... yeah, so for this little scene, there's two things that we're going to show. One is an over-the-shoulder type of shot. It's looking out the front window, looking out the windshield of this ambulance. And I'll have to play with the sizing of the view portal. But basically looking out the front window here. And then we're going to be seeing... well, let me just pull this open and we'll look at it. So we're going to be seeing... this is from GTA 5, by the way. Not that. This. We're going to be seeing... it's nighttime. We're going to be seeing this out the front window. Okay? That's through this portal here. We'll probably see a hand and an arm for the steering wheel and some feet up on the dash. It's Lance driving and his girlfriend's in the passenger seat. She's got her bare feet up on the dashboard. I think I'll try to paint her toenails. It's only a very brief shot that we see of this, but I think it has the potential to be interesting. And then we'll have to do some interesting stuff with lighting for the interior lighting of the dash. I may add something here because this is very bland. They didn't really spend much time modeling the interior of this ambulance. So I may put some kind of a fake dash here and layer it in. Her feet are up on the dash. And yeah, they're moving forward into night traffic. So that's one thing. The other shot that it cuts to after that is, and just imagine this is the full ambulance now. It's not the cutaway. I'm just using this for example. But it's going to be this shot of the ambulance kind of flying through the air in slow motion in the middle of a jump. So it's going to be tilting like so, and the camera will move, you know, such and such. And that is going to be over the top of, I think it's the last footage I took here. Explosions happening and stuff. Unfortunately, it goes by very quickly because it's all compositing, so it's going to be kind of tricky. I'm going to have to figure out how to do the lights and all that stuff to make it look real, for any of the lights for explosions and fire and stuff like that. And meanwhile, the ambulance is going to be taking up a sizable portion of the middle here. So this was it's the footage that I grabbed for that. And again, it's GTA 5. So to prep for that, I took some stills, which we can use for reference for how that's going to go. All right, just waiting for iClone to load here. We'll go ahead and close Character Creator 4. We don't need that open right now. All right, so there's iClone. So we're going to go, first of all, let's get our reference image layer in there. Okay, so we get rid of the opacity. And let's bring in Let's do the jump scene first. I think that's a little bit easier. Okay, so again, this is going to be moving just like I showed in the footage there, but this gives us a general idea of how to line this up. So we're going to dial down the opacity of this a bit so that we can kind of set up our grid to be somewhat, you know, to make some sense with what we're seeing here. This will help us with lining up our prop. Okay. So then if we go to custom and props and Lance and Nance. This is the full ambulance, and let's just set it right here for now. Okay. So we're going to bring it up. That's actually a really good placement in terms of it lets some of the scenery through at least. So I think as a starting point that works well. And then we need to tilt it. To simulate that it's in a jump. Okay. And let's go ahead and set our camera. We're going to lock it for now. All right. And it's a slow-mo jump scene. So we're going to give it like 5 seconds. It's just one fairly quick shot. And let's say 6 seconds. Okay, so that's frame 360. That's where we end it. And we'll mark our ending right there. So at the end of this sequence, then, there's a couple things that need to happen. One, the ambulance needs to change its tilt to forward. And then the camera needs to move forward a little bit. So let's unlock the camera. We did that just for safety. And let's see about bringing this a little closer. And maybe even tilting it up a little bit. I think that may work really well. Let's see what it looks like. Now you got to factor in that the background is going to be animated and moving as well. So over a period of 6 seconds. There we go. I mean, that's the movement that's needed. That's all that's needed. So now we need to think about lighting. So let's bring the opacity of this back up for visual reference. Okay, so you've got a few different light sources going on here. So we've got some yellow lights, explosions kind of from the bottom left. You've got a pink light kind of from the upper right, which we could have from behind and to the right. And then a little bit of light from this direction from behind, and some white light, or maybe some light pinkish light from this direction. Okay? So, pink, yellow, light blue, and white. Pink, yellow, light blue, and white. Okay. So back to our camera. Let's lock it so we don't accidentally screw it up. And let's get into preview mode. We'll hide our camera. So our truck stays, stationary in terms of transform movement. It doesn't move. So we can just place our lights in their appropriate positions and it should take care of that. So let's go into visual first of all. Let's make sure global illumination is turned on. It helps a little bit. And let's reduce ambient light or image-based lighting way down. Actually, let's just turn it off for now, because we'll bring that back up to kind of fill in the light and color palette. But for now, I want to just see what we can get done with spotlights only. So we've got these lights here that came into the default scene. We're most likely going to get rid of those entirely. But let's leave them on for now because it'll help us see what we're doing. And let's place some spotlights for the different light sources that we know about from the background footage. So if we say spotlight, let's call this pink top left. And let's just move it over here for now. And then we've got, I'm going to call this one yellow bottom left. That's our explosions light. So we'll kind of position that here for now. And then we've got blue top right. It's kind of coming from behind and to the right. And we've got white right. Okay. So let's tackle those in reverse order. Boy, they're not lined up anywhere that they need to be, but that's fine. At least we've labeled them so we know what they're supposed to be. So this one should be off to the right of the ambulance, and it should kind of be pretty even with the cab. Maybe behind it a little bit. And then we should rotate it up and around. And then we should probably bring it quite a bit closer. Let's see. We'll give it more range. All right, and I think probably more like so, and angled at it kind of like that. So that's our white light. This one here is our blue. That's going to be coming more from behind it. Like that. Let's give it some more range as well. Okay. Which one's this? This is the pink light. So this one's coming from high and above. Like so. Yeah, roughly. And then where is our yellow light? That's here. That should be low. Now that one could be tricky. The explosion light, we would ideally want that to fluctuate with the actual explosion. And I'm not 100% sure the best way to do that, unless we somehow bring our video clip in here with us. I guess what we could do is we could measure the timing in the video clip and then make sure that the timing in our clip here lines up with that. That's actually a pretty good idea. All right, so let's save what we've got so far here. This is the ambulance jump. Where did I save that? Okay, in the right spot. All right, so let's play with these a little bit now. So probably the next thing we should do is assign some colors. So our yellow light, we want to have a yellowness to it. And our pink light, we want to have a pinkness to it. And this one is a slightly blue light. Like so. Maybe a little less blue. And this one is, we say white, we're not going to go totally white. This with just a little bit of redness mixed in. Okay. Now, let's kill off our main scene lights so that we can start letting these do some more work. So we're going to go into our actual camera view here, and one at a time, let's start bringing these up and see what happens. Okay, the pink light there, we're not really seeing at all. So let's really up the range on it. Huh. Okay, so it's only showing up on the back part of the cab. And the problem is we'll never see that, so we need to bring that forward a little bit. Maybe like so. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. How about our yellow light? Yeah, we just need more intensity out of that. It probably just needs to be closer. Yeah, now we can light it up with explosions. So for now, we're going to do like that. Okay, the blue light, I think we can learn from what we learned about the pink one. We're going to need to bring that forward some. So let's go into preview. And let's bring it closer and closer. Oh, that's too far. Alright, if we angle it over a little more, what are we seeing there? Yeah, it gives some nice highlights there. That's kind of cool. Yeah. Maybe a little bit more blue. Okay, and then our white light. Not seeing that at all yet. So it's got to be not in the right position. Let's go to preview. And oh yeah, it's way too far back. So we did this more like so. How about now? Okay. Let's tweak these. I think we can do a little more of the pink. I think we can do a little more of the yellow. And then a little more of the blue. Okay, that does some nice highlights there. Now let's see what it looks like when the van moves. Okay. So a couple thoughts. First of all, we're going to turn up IBL, and that's going to fill in the color palette a bit more. But also, I want these headlights to be on. And I like some of these other lights here to be on and maybe flashing. Okay. And then I think we should put the two characters in here, and they're going to have their own light as well. And they're going to be attached to the vehicle. We'll save them for last. Okay, so let's up the IBL a little bit and see how that helps us. Okay, and that's nice. Yeah, I think that's all it needs. If we bring in our semi-transparent background layer here, you know, that's what's around it essentially. Yeah, once we add those other highlights, this is going to work great. Okay, so let's save. And we're going to go into our ambulance and see what can be done with regard to lighting. By the way, all these lights can be hidden now. All right, so if we've got the ambulance open here, what are the different meshes? Body, windows, interior, wheels, and then license plates. So the lights are not... The lights are not separate textures. So, can we figure out what the lights are from examining this texture? Let's find out. All right, let's see if we can discern what the lights are. There's some lights. What do those look like up close? Okay, so that is lights. These are lights, aren't they? But those aren't the colored parts. These look like light textures here. How about the headlights? Where are the headlights? Let's get a closer look at what they look like here. We'll turn on ambient lighting. Okay, so all the lights are either a grid or slotted like this. And these are the parking lights or blinkers. So maybe the headlights are close to those there. These are some lights as well. These are lights. So any of the orange stuff, I feel like would be good to illuminate. There's actually only a couple spots of orange texture here, so maybe they reuse it. Where are the headlights? Are these them? These grids? Could be. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a copy of this layer. And then we're going to try to select anything that is a light. Or should we try and delete anything that's not a light? Maybe that'll be easier. Yeah, this is going to be tricky. So we get rid of all that stuff. And that. This is easier, for sure. Yeah, I think this is going to work. This, we can just do a nice group selection and get rid of it. A little bit tedious, but I think it will be worth it. What happened there? Something strange happened. Doggone it. Something weird happened. I'm gonna have to start over. Okay, let's do this. If we copy this, and then we paste it in the glow texture. Copy, paste. Yeah, that's the effect we want on just the lights. So now what we have to do is go in and edit this texture to get rid of anything that shouldn't be glowing. Get the idea? Yeah. So let's edit this. Okay, so let's just start with some simple stuff here. We know this is not supposed to glow. And is there anything down here that's supposed to glow? I don't think so. So all that except for maybe, I don't know what that is. Nah, I think that's not supposed to glow. Okay, and then if we do some magic wand type stuff here to get rid of obvious stuff. This is a rectangle selection, right? All of this can go. And this. And this. Okay, and then if we do a save as to the temp, yes. still glowing, I think. Let's keep at it. Okay. Basically all this stuff that is not lights. We get it out of the glow. Not freehand, we want magic wand. Get rid of that. These look like lights, those look like lights, I think. Selection. Boom. All right, so it's behaving a little strange. So when it does that, we want to save our progress and reload it. Okay, so we're starting to see some progress here of stuff that shouldn't be glowing isn't glowing. Not as much progress as I'd hoped. Why is that? It's taking a while. But we're getting closer. You see what we're after is to try and get just the lights to be what's glowing. This would have been something that would have been a lot easier for the creator of this object to do at the time that they were texturing and just create a separate glow map, but they didn't do so. That's fine. All right. We don't need the back of the vehicle at all for our shot here. So my thinking is stay practical. If at some other point we need the lights on the back of the vehicle, then we'll come back and, you know, repopulate just that part of the glow map. Good. That looks like it might be a light, so I'm going to leave it alone. That looks like it might be a light. So I'm going to leave it alone. I don't believe these are lights. Or this. Let's do some magic wand. Come on. That and that. Anything there look like lights? No, it does not. Not a bit of it. Those might be, but we can clean them up. Boom. And boom. Okay. None of this looks like lights. Feel pretty confident about that. This is not a light. This is not lights. And this is not lights. Okay. Alright, these look like lights. So we're going to try and preserve those. Yeah. Okay. None of this looks like lights. Nor this. Nor any of this. Or this. Or that. Okay. Not lights. Maybe not lights. Let's get rid of the white part at least. Okay. None of this looks like lights to me. None of this looks like lights. Pretty sure that's not a light. We could leave that just in case. Yeah, those aren't lights. Okay. Good. That may be a light. So we'll leave that there. I actually don't think it is, but we'll be safe. Okay. Not lights. That is a light. I'm pretty sure. Okay. Just gonna cut it out neatly there. And there. That's probably a light. Alright, let's do a little magic wand, and then I think we're about due for a save. That all looks good. I believe that is all correct. Yeah, so let's save as. Got it. Yes. We're going to close this. See if we got any progress here. And there's still a lot of glowy stuff, and I don't know why. Because we got rid of a lot of those textures, unless this one's just being reused a bunch. I guess we'll see. All right, we'll dig out these lights a little later. Let's eliminate some more obvious stuff to make sure that what we're doing here actually has a hope of succeeding. That appears to be a light. Okay. None of this looks like lights. Okay. Let's get these orange lights. All right, we'll cut that stuff out later. I think this is a light. It's a weird shape. Okay. Rid of that. This seems to be a light. Got it. I think that's going to work. Got it. Got it. Are we at the top? All right, I think this red one is a light. It's got the slats on it. All right. We're getting close here to having this stuff eliminated, I think. So we thought this was a light, but all the rest of this I'm confident is not, except that. Got it. We'll just call that part the light. The rest of that we can eliminate with the old magic wand. Okay. These are not lights. None of that. Or that. Okay. This is not clearing up as much of the glow as I would have expected. Like, look how little of this texture is glowy now, and it's still glowy. Why is that? If there's black on a glow texture, it will not glow at all, right? So if we just focus on eliminating unnecessary light colors, And then maybe we give this whole thing a black background? No, that's not right. We need to turn down the tolerance, I think, to select just these. No. Let's do some rectangle work. Got it. Got it. This is all junk. This is somewhat junk. Yeah. All right. Okay. This is a pain, this part. But I don't see any way around it. We gotta just carve stuff out here. Bring that all the way over to there. Oh, I didn't know this would take this long. But we are almost done. Just carving out these last remaining bits, and then I gotta figure out why everything is still glowing. Or not everything, but a decent chunk of stuff is still glowing. Why? It's not a different mesh, I don't think. It doesn't register as a different mesh. Alright, that's all carved out. Suppose we should keep most of the orange as glow, even though it's a weird shape. It's too aggressive. All right, we are going to call this it in a moment here. Get rid of that. And then let's just clean up this little bit of junk here. Okay, so that's all that should be glowing. So if we save as iClone 8 temp, got it. So I don't understand. I do not understand. Wheels, license plates. Where's the glow settings? Is that this here? No. It's not self-illumination. That brings everything up. Alright, so what if we darken this? Okay. That might actually be working. That might actually be working. I don't know why the mirrors are glowing like that. That sucks. And the horns. We're getting close. But there's some stuff that's glowing that should not be glowing, and I'm not sure why. So let's Maybe there's something I'm not seeing here. So if we add a new layer, put it underneath, and then let's give it a color of like, not a gradient, solid color of black. Okay, so there are a few fleeting pieces of stuff that I did not see, like that. That shouldn't be there. And that shouldn't be there. Okay, mirror's fixed, horn's fixed. Wow, those little strips made all that difference, huh? Okay, now we've got lights. We could actually maybe dial this up a bit. Ooh, no. No, we can't. Okay, so it baked it. That's okay. That's okay. Because what we could do is we could attach some volumetric spotlights to the headlights. Yeah. Okay, let's save. And let's tweak the IBL a little bit more. Yeah. That works. That's kind of badass, actually. Okay, what next? Should we do the headlights? The headlights should be pretty easy. Let's do that. If we go to preview, and we're going to create a spotlight, and let's swivel it around, and like so. Let's get it over into position. It's too low. Okay. That's right where it should be, pretty much, right? We just need to get the angle right. That's actually the right angle. Okay, we want a lower angle beam. It's not going to start as a point. And we need it to, let's give it a halogen color. And we want it to have volume. And we're going to give it a lot of intensity. Okay, that's good. The range is angle. Okay, they're kind of angled up when really they should be angled straight out. Like so, yeah? All right. Let's just check it from our camera angle to see how that interacts. Oh. Yeah, we need to attach it. We're going to call it a headlight. And we want to link it to the ambulance. Now we can test. Okay, that works. It seems to be angled maybe a little bit outward. It should really be straighter. Okay. All right, so let's put a second one on. All right, 0.55 and 6. 0.55 and 6. And let's see the fall off. That doesn't seem to affect anything. That doesn't seem to affect anything either. So those are all happening in the volumetric level. Okay. All right, so now from our camera position, if we hide those, yeah, they come from too much of a point, don't they? So start is 27. I don't like it. I don't like it. It starts to... It starts too suddenly. Like if I could align it with that texture, it would be great, but it starts from like this tiny little cone and I can't move it back from that. I mean, the only thing I could do is, should I widen the angle? To like 22. See, now it's just too intense though. So I would need to move them up. Yeah, they're too intense. Okay, so... Okay, so the density multiplier is 107.28. All right, so we've got things go to this point. And then from there, we're going to start a movement. Okay, and we need to do it with both of them at the same time. Is it 230? Okay. And then by the time we get to the end here, they need to have moved up and probably changed their angle as well. So we're going to we need to do the same thing here. It needs to move up to about there. And then angle-wise, it needs to come up a little bit and over just a little bit. And same thing with this one. Up just a little bit, over just a little bit. All right, let's look at that through the camera's eye. Okay, I think that's solved then. That part's solved. Okay, time to put the people in the vehicle, I believe. This is going to get a little tricky. Not too bad, I guess. Because we only really have to worry about their upper body. So let's pick out our actors. All right, so we need Lance in the driver's seat. And we can use this Nance. In the passenger seat. Okay, so let's find us just some basic sitting poses. Just basic. Because we're going to adjust them. So let's give Lance a sitting bar stool pose. And let's give her this sitting bench pose. Alright, so let's adjust some stuff here. We don't really care too much about the legs. But we do want him to be sitting up straight. And he is going to have his hands out, sort of, I think. We can maybe, we'll see if it's even going to be visible. We can put him on the steering wheel or something. He's got a little limp wrist action going on here. We'll fix that. Okay. And we might as well straighten out the legs. Okay, so he's going to be sitting in the vehicle, and she is too. All right. So we want to have her kind of straighten up a little bit. She's kind of slouching. That's probably fine. We want the upper part of her body to not slouch. And so head forward. Doesn't have to be tilted. And her hands are going to kind of be forward too. So we'll kind of lift them up as so. We can tweak hands later if we need to. Okay. So now let's position them in the vehicle. Maybe she'll be putting her hands up like almost like a roller coaster ride. Let's reposition her a little bit too. Kind of move her forward in the seat. Doesn't have to be super accurate because we're only going to see it from this one front shot, okay? Yeah. So now we need to, before we do any motion, we need to link them to the ambulance. Okay. And then Lance, link to the ambulance. All right, let's just get a feel for how much we can even see them. We won't worry about lighting yet. But just assuming they're well lit, how well will we even see them? Okay, we can see them fairly well. Okay, this is good. So that means we can do facial expressions and have a little bit of hand motion going on. And I like the idea of them both having their hands up, kind of like for a like they're riding a roller coaster, right? Because the whole scene is absurd, of course. So let's take care of some facial expressions on them first, because those are pretty much going to be fixed, I believe. So for Lance, let's see what he's got under surprise. Maybe something like that. Yeah, that's more his style right there. Okay. And then for her, let's see. All right, it's a little cartoonish. All right, let's just take a look at how those come across without worrying about the hands yet. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay. Save. Hey, Phil. Sorry, I just noticed there. Hope you haven't been there long. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. This series is the third in the set of, you know, paired conversation type things, and this is the hardest one by far. Like, there's upper body mocap and changes of scenery, and so, but this, I saved the more difficult one for last on purpose. So, but yeah, it's been it's not a quick churn one like the other ones were. Each one was a little, I guess, more challenging than the previous. But this one has been a little bit brutal, but fun. All right, and let's spread out the fingers a little bit. All right, that works pretty good for starting position. All right. All right, that's our starting position. Now they're moving, so I won't need to do too much, but I don't want it to be just static. So we're gonna do like just the slightest little movements. And here as well. And that, and that. Yeah, that's always been the challenge for me too, is the background video, and it ends up that for me, what works best is a cheat, basically, because you know, like I did the ones with that driving game, and then this one, all the background footage is from GTA 5. But to actually try to construct that, or to get it to match from footage from another source or whatever, yeah, because you don't want it to look like, I mean, unless you're going for that look, you don't want it to look like, you know, the driving scene from Hitchcock's Psycho or something, which was really cool for its time, but it's like, I don't know if today's audiences will tolerate that. Why isn't she moving? Is she moving? Can't tell if just her movements are so subtle. Oh, I know what I did. I know what I did. Okay. It's a first time every time, as they say. Yeah, so no, we don't want to loop it. We want to resize it, I think. Okay, so how do we do this here? We need to go here and grab We're going to copy this pose. No. Yeah, copy this pose. And that's at frame 360. And then paste the pose. Now she's moving. Okay. All right, and then let's take care of him. Yeah, me too. Me too. And then with all the different zoom levels and stuff, and I know there's shortcut keys for the zoom levels, but for whatever reason, I have like a total brain malfunction for these control asterisk and control slash, which you use them on the numpad, right? But I don't know why, but I just can't. I always hit the wrong ones, and it gets so frustrating that I still just go up and click and do it this way. It's really silly, but I don't know why. I can remember all kinds of other stuff, but I can't remember that. There's something about it that's just not clicking with me. Okay, so for Lance, before we do anything, here's a case in point, Phil. We gotta go all the way in so we can grab the handle. And then go out, grab the handle. Okay. So what do we want him to do with his hands? We want him to... Maybe he'll do like the... I don't know. I could do one hand on the wheel. He's the kind of person that would not be a particularly responsible driver and would neglect that, but it is a little odd that he wouldn't be trying to at least maintain some control of the vehicle, so we'll give in to realism here. So yeah, if we have him just clench the wheel there. Oh, thank you. I look forward to hearing what you have to say on that. Okay, so for the other hand, maybe we'll have him do something like a fist pump. How do you do a fist pump? There's like there's fist pump, and then there's like 1960s civil rights activist fist in the air pump, which is a little different. Is a fist pump typically with the heel of your hand towards? Yeah, heel of your hand towards the front. Okay. And of course he needs to have his fist clenched. That's a weird arm pose he's got there. I can't tell if it's just that he needs to go to the gym or if it's just one of those awkward things. There we go. That's a little better. Okay. And then the end of his movement. we're not going to get to see his whole action, so we really only need one other motion, and that's right at the end. So we will just have him pump it. Does that fist go any tighter? Yeah. And maybe a little head tilt. All right. So, what do we end up seeing from the camera's point of view? Okay, her head needs to be tilted up a little more, I think. She's kind of looking, from the camera's point of view, it looks like she's looking down, doesn't it? Okay, Nance and motion layer. And we're at the beginning. Let's do local rotate. Yeah, I think that's better. Yeah, so she just needs it up a little bit on the end too. Yeah, I think that's going to work. And this is the reference footage. It's obviously going to be actual video. We can see it a little better without the grid. Okay. There'll be an explosion, you know, underneath and behind them. And I don't think I need any interior lighting in the truck. Oh, no wonder I don't think that. I've still got ambient lighting on. Okay, we're definitely going to need some interior lighting in the truck. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so let's just see what this looks like generally. Yeah, I wish the glow was working a little better, but it's such a quick shot and it's such a pain the way that this is textured. It's really not easy to fix that, so I think I'm just going to live with it. I want to make the wheels spin too. That's an easy thing to do. So, all right, let's do the lighting first. All right. So probably the best look is going to be lighting that seems like it's coming up from the dash area. And I think I'm going to need 2 lights to make that look right. So let's do a spotlight. And we'll angle it upward. And put it in the cab. A little bit cramped in here. Well, we don't want the flashlight in the face effect. We kind of want it to be pretty even on the face. Obviously, we're going to adjust the intensity and all that. Let's just get the angle right. And we'll widen it. And let's make it kind of like a reddish light. Drop the intensity way down. Darken the shadows a little bit, although nah. Not enough there to really see them. And let's see. I want the range down. And we want it to fall off a little more, attenuate a little more. Wider angle is good. And maybe a little brighter in color. That's good. All right, and let's make one for her too. Yeah, you know, I don't think so. I don't think that objects can be made into light sources, which makes it challenging sometimes. You can kind of make it a light source by having the texture illuminate, you know, the texture of the bulb, for example, in a lamp, illuminate a little bit. But to actually make it an actual light, I don't know. I don't think so, but that would be handy for sure. It would be nice. Actually, in one of the other shots that I was doing for this yesterday, it's the first time that I ever took a shadow caster item and flipped it up to be a wall, because I'm doing compositing, but I want them to cast a shadow on a wall that isn't in iClone. I haven't done the compositing step yet, but the render turned out really good. Like, it looks right. You know, they're standing in front of a wall and their shadow goes to the floor and then goes up the wall and stays continuous. It works pretty good. I would have never thought to do that, but I just tried it and it worked. So maybe there's little hidden things like that about lights as well, you know, that I just haven't stumbled upon yet. Okay, hers can be pretty similar colored light. And a bit less intense. Okay. Now, before I forget, let's link these lights to the ambulance. All right, and then we will hide them. And let's see how this looks from our camera. Wonder if there's a way to make these a little more diffuse, because they kind of look like It's weird to say, but they look like lights. You know what I'm saying? And I want it to be more of like a natural glow instead of looking like that a light was rigged up here. So let's see. I mean, we could put him at like the limit of the range. That'll make it diffuse a little bit. We could move it further away from him and then up the intensity. Let's try that. Problem is the windshield. Once I pass through that, the light's not going to behave the same anymore. Oh, and then there's the, I'm clipping with the steering wheel here. How far can I go? Yeah, there's the windshield. Okay, so I could put it right here and angle it down a little bit. Does that make the light a little bit less intense? It does. Yeah, the shadows don't help us there. Okay, I think that's what I was looking for. Let me see if we can adjust hers a little bit too. It's just a little bit too intense in the middle of her face. So if we angle it down and then bring it a little further away. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think so. Let's hide them. Hers is still a little too intense. But I don't think I dialed her actual light multiply down properly like I did on his. Like I adjusted his range. Let's try 88. And then I did dial it down. That's pretty low, 26. I think that's going to work. That's it, just a little bitty shot. Boom. All right, so the only thing is just in case they end up showing up in the 4K render, people seeing them, is the wheels. Yeah. Okay. So these wheels are independent objects, thank goodness. Okay. So ambulance, front wheel left. And, well, I guess what we need to do first of all is keyframe something for each of them. So let's just give them a rotation of 1. Whoop. Something's weird there. Oh, something's weird on this one too. Wait a minute. Hold the phone. What's happening? I just put it back to what it was and it jumped even more. Trying to do undos here. This one's back to normal. Huh. Okay. Okay. They're back to normal. Let's save. How about that? Let's save. What is going on with these wheels? All right, let's check our centers like you said. Yeah. I guess I just took for granted that I mean, that looks pretty darn good. So why? This is strange. Okay, let's figure this out. So, right now the rotation for X is at 7.709. Is that true for the other one too? No. Alright, and let's just make sure, does the wheel, it does follow along with the truck properly, right? Yeah, because all it's doing is tilting. And it still says 7709. Okay. So I guess let's go to 360 and see what happens if I do parent rotate. Is local rotate different for an object like that? Okay, so something's a little different with it. But let's try this. I mean, that looks like normal rotation. Now, does it... what's happening? Just like real life. Okay. Okay. I should know why it's doing that. Okay. Let's try local rotate. Okay. Yeah, the truck is moving. It's like doing a tilt. But I thought if it was linked, that it would stay attached by its pivot point, and you could still move it freely. Okay, so when I'm keyframing rotation on that, I'm keyframing a full transform. Okay. Yeah. Get the wheels spinning first and then do the truck movement, which the truck movement is super simple. It's 2 transform points, or rotation points. That's it. And I don't think that will mess up anything else. I can just write down all the, what they were and put them back after. It's almost, it's like also that it's like easing in and out, or some kind of a curve going on, right? Is that relevant at all, I wonder? That it's doing this curve here. I mean, I think the truck's motion is curved too. But if I changed this, no, it doesn't change it there. But that's transition curve to the next point, right? So really I need to be looking at it here. No. It's not just that it's transition curving, it's doing some kind of interpolation. Wow, that's so weird. I'm sure there's a logic to it. Feature in quotes, I know. I know. No, I'm going to give them credit that this does have a logic to it. Like, you get someone like Warlord or someone who's got this mastered on here, and they would just go, oh, well, that's just the such and such and such and such. But I just don't, I don't claim to understand all the inner workings. But, yeah, that's some weird stuff there. And I wouldn't know what else to do. Like, I mean, the other workaround would be completely detach the wheel from the vehicle and then keyframe its transform and rotate as just an independent object. Like, not have it be linked at all. That to me seems like that's harder than doing what you suggested, of just going and spinning the wheels first. So, yeah, okay. So let's undo this stuff. Okay. So, yeah, that's not going to be quite as simple as I thought, and that's fine. When is anything in this craft as simple as you first thought, right? So, but I feel pretty happy with this, and the footage that's going to go over the top of, if I can make it line up properly, is this. Sound. I need the sound. So there's a driving scene which is behind the wheel, looking out of the windshield. That I did earlier. And then jumping over one of these 2 shots. That was take 1. And the van is ambulances coming into the screen, going over this thing while there's explosions in the intersection. The second one, I think, is a little better. Neither of them were exactly perfect, but it's not quite as easy to do stuff in GTA 5 and get exact results as it is in iClone. But I like the aesthetic of this for what we're doing, so yeah. So that's that. I have a wedding to go to. If I don't sound terribly excited about that, well, yeah. Not my wedding. It's not my wedding, but yeah, it's family's interesting. Family's complicated sometimes. So, but yeah, I've got to run home and get cleaned up, get dressed, and go to that. So I got 2/3 or 2/5 of what I intended to done today. So, and half of it was just remembering how streaming works again, because it's been a while. So I hope to return to this a little bit more often. And getting ready to relocate my studio to be back at my house instead of at my office. And I think that that's going, and actually have a dedicated room for it and stuff. So that's going to open up some more possibilities to do stuff like this. So that's good. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. And I'm going to take off and go watch somebody get married. And we'll see you next time. See you later, Phil.